guess, what are the parts? How do you break down a cold call script? Is it just do you script everything out? Is it like line by line? Is it sections? Yeah, talk me through that process.
Yeah. So the way I always start with helping folks build cold calling script is the first half is going to be pretty much completely scripted. And the second half is where it's sort of, you got to be on your feet, ready for what the prospect says. But the first half, you have your opener, that should be fairly consistent all the time. The simple one I use, hey, this is Drew Dorham. Happy Friday, happy Wednesday, or good afternoon, good morning. Very rarely does someone respond poorly to good afternoon. Maybe an odd response. Post that, you either have sort of like your permission-based opener or your value prop. I always go into the reason why I'm calling. So yeah, just to preface why I'm reaching out, saw you were a title over at company, had a few sales reps over you or whatever relevant if you had, and was hoping to intro Orem if you had a second. Yeah, I got a second too. Now, if they say no, you know what's coming up. It's always the I'm busy objection, which is the easiest objection to handle. So you know what's coming if they do say no. Assuming they say yes, that's when you go into your value prop. Now, building a value prop, I think is super important for hooking the prospect. And the goal of the value prop is to, in one or two succinct sentences, tell them what you do and answer the question, what do I get? So to answer that, I think you need to connect the value prop to positive business outcomes. The three, some people say there's four positive business outcomes: increase revenue, decrease cost, decrease risk. Some would argue for increased efficiency. Usually that goes back down to revenue or cost. But I think that there a lot of times some folks will think they have a positive business outcome, but it's not filtered down enough. So, for example, increase forecast accuracy. There's a client I was working with yesterday, and that was the crux of their value prop. Well, increasing forecast accuracy isn't a positive business outcome. So we need to attach to one of those three things that I just mentioned before. So the real business outcome was reducing operational costs, and we put a percentage to that. That's a hook where the prospect says, what do I get? Well, you get a 19% decrease in operational costs. That's what you get. And then past that value prop, you ask a question. And that question, the goal of that question is to figure out their current situation. So it can be a process question, a system question. And so that part's completely scripted. You have your opener, you have your permission-based reason why you're calling, and you have your value prop connected to positive business outcomes and the question about their current situation.
So that's do you mind if I?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I jump in here? Okay, so opener, reason why I'm calling. I love that. Then you kind of go. You said there's permission-based versus value prop, and the value prop is what do I get versus what do I do versus what do you get? What's the permission-based one?
So, some people mix them into one. I personally keep them in two. So I'll do just preface why I'm calling. I saw your title at company, yada, yada, yada. Was hoping to intro us if you had a second. Yeah, I got a second. Great. Okay. Then there's the value prop. Or some people we'll make that into one. And then they're opposed to asking if they can intro, they'll just go straight into the current situation question.
Love that. And then you said, if they say no, this is the easiest objection, which is I'm busy. So how do you overcome the I'm busy objection?
Yeah. So the I'm busy objection is super simple, is lead with empathy and acknowledge, just like everything else. So yeah, totally get it. Hey, can I ask one question to see if it's even worth following up? Almost 95% of the time, people will say yes. And then basically succinct value prop, current situation question, same thing. Yeah.
Cool. I'm taking notes for anybody who's like trying to write very quickly, and I'll throw my notes in the call notes, or a link to this doc in the call notes. So succinct value prop plus, you said current situation, or sorry, current.
Yeah. So the first goal of the first question goal should be their current situation. So current systems, processes, Same exact thing with the value prop, understanding that they might be wanting to sort of get off the phone, so maybe make it a little bit quicker if it's longer. And then your whole goal is just to find someone to pitch against. Once you get past that, and you ask them that first question about their current situation, it can sound like, just out of curiosity, do you have anything in place for whatever you do? Or do you have reps doing this activity that they would do on your platform? Figure out where they're at first, because if you don't know what they're doing now, it's pretty hard to pitch against it, and the person's it's like you're just pitch slapping somebody. So it can be a little bit awkward, I think. Yeah, but once you get past that current situation question and they tell you what it is, the big key, I think, after their initial response is to ask a second level question. So they're probably going to give you some sort of general response about what they're doing. A good question framework, actually, Jeremy, my manager, just shared with me. It's called the Ted Williams question framework. It's basically can you walk me through? Can you share with me? Can you tell me? It's a good start to an open-ended question framework. Or can you expand for me? So if they say something and your reaction is, well, that's close, but not exactly what I was looking for, I sort of would like to know a little bit more. I think you can ask something along the lines, you mentioned X, can you expand upon that a little bit, and get them to make that a little bit bigger so you understand what's actually going on. Once you actually understand where they're at now, first goal of the cold call is complete. Secondly, you want to reaffirm what business outcomes they get. So you're re-answering the question, what do I get? So it's going to be very similar to what you said in the value prop. Sometimes I repeat the same thing. Maybe if there's something they said in the current situation, I'll shift it slightly. And then, so you're basically using those positive business outcomes as bait, sort of like you're fishing with the positive business outcomes. And then, you just call to action after that. You're basically asking, hey, here's your current situation. I understand I've worked with people with this current situation. They received this outcome. Is this an outcome you would be interested in? Some of the good call to actions I like, because at first when you're cold calling, it can be sort of hard to figure out how to hinge. First off, I think less is more. You don't need to talk nearly as much as you think to have a call to action be successful. Over talking, I think, kills a lot more cold calls than under talking. So it could sound something along the lines of, you basically just want to recap. Literally recap. Don't make anything new up. Recap what was just said. So yeah. So if it sounds like you're using this, you're using that. You're currently getting this outcome with my platform. You're going to be able to increase revenue, decrease cost, decrease risk, whatever the business outcome is. So I think a firm that you'll think it'll be useful to them to look at. So I think this would be useful for you to check out. Would you be open to scheduling a call maybe Thursday or Friday? I have 3 or 4. Do either of those times work for you? So you're asking a question. We could do like Thursday or Friday if that would work for you, and then immediately just go to the time. I could do 3 or 4. Would either of those times work for you? So your final question they're actually answering is a or, not an if. That's great.
Yeah, let me try this. So we recap what was said succinctly, and so I hear you've got a couple AEs, no SDRs, and so they have to cold call themselves, which they're only able to do an hour a day. They probably get they're currently getting like 20 or 30 calls. With my platform, you could 3x the number of calls, which would more calls equals more prospects, more business, et cetera, et cetera. So I think this would be useful for you to check out. Would you be open to schedule a call Thursday or Friday? We could do 3 or 4. Do either of those times work for you?